good. Thank you.
The review sheet has 14 questions. And then all the answers are there too. So it's kind of confusing. I tried to save paper, but there's 14 questions altogether. Those onto the back, and then the solutions are there. Here is yesterday's quiz. This will be a good resource for us also. I'm going to hand Emma this one. These are 24-point quizzes. Yeah, 24-point quiz. 24.
It's all right. Probably she has to do that. My eyes. I'm gonna tell you. Sarah, did you have any orders? No, I do not have one. Here. I got chills. Just making its way around the thing. So much you get. Thank you. Not all 20%. Harry.
Alan. Logan.
Oh, I did. So you can leave the negative at the top. You got it at the bottom. And then I just figured out that and did that.
Okay, so what do we want to do right now? Is there somebody else's? Here's another paper. This is Brandon Neal's paper. Here's a
Stupid.
What's the Chick-fil-A worst being late?
Okay. Now, here we go. Let's take care of questions on the quiz first. And then we will start looking at the review sheets and see what questions we have there. Your homework for tonight is the review sheet that I just gave you and the practice quiz that I gave you yesterday. So whatever we can get done in class just cuts off of that, but that's going to be your homework, okay? So let's start with the quiz though and get that taken care of because we can get that taken care of now. Who has a question about a quiz question? Anna Brian.
For number C, yes.
2C?
Yeah. You have that, I got it wrong, you have a 9, but it should be a negative 9.
It should be a negative 9. Okay. Remember, we actually had that conversation. In fact, Anna, and I don't want to single you out because you're not the only one that had a problem there, but that's the exact problem we did in class. And the deal on that was what? Who remembers that conversation we had? I call it a conversation. It was me talking, but I did talk about it.
The negative is in front of the 3 squared, so they'll hold it to be negative, but if there was like a parentheses with the negative, then it would be equal.
This would be 9, Anna.
Okay.
This is a negative 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so that's negative 9. Okay? You're not chewing gum, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Full-size non-generic box of Kleenex on Monday. If you forget, it's a detention.
Okay.
Full-size, non-generic. All right, who else had a question? Blaney?
On 2D.
2D. All right, let's look at 2D. What was your issue here? What, did you know how to start?
Yeah, I flipped it.
Okay.
Put a 1.
Okay, well we would put a 1 over the whole thing. We put a 1 over whatever has a negative exponent. Okay? Now, this guy right here is complicating things a little bit, so I would probably suggest taking care of that first, and then you can kind of put everything together. Now I can't even put everything together because he's only on this part, not on this part. So I'm going to take care of that first. So 4 squared would be 16. X to the 4th, y to the negative 6, z squared. Okay? And then that's still times 2x to the negative third y. Now I can start putting stuff together. I have a 16 and a 2, so that would make 32. Now I have an x to the fourth and an x to the negative third. Now you can think about that a couple different ways. How are you thinking about it?
I was just gonna say just put x.
Just put x. And then I have a y to the negative sixth and a y. Yep. And then I guess I have z squared. Now, exactly. A bunch of you stopped here. And you have not made any mistakes, but you're not done. We don't want negative exponents because there's only one time negative exponents are acceptable, and that's scientific notation. Other than that, we don't want to ever see a negative exponent. So, how do we fix that? We move the y to the fifth to the bottom. That's the correct answer. Harry, what's on that iPad?
Not math.
Okay, we're gonna have to put you in a no iPad zone?
I mean, I don't think we're gonna have to, but that's what.
We might have to
Okay.
if I have to say something to you one more time, okay?
Okay.
So we just, generally speaking, do not need to have that out,
Okay.
unless we're taking notes on it. Katie?
Number 4.
Number 4, interval notation? Remember, if it's an interval notation means the brackets and the parentheses, Katie. So, since I'm closed at -2 and open at 6, I'll put a bracket at, and in between there, I'll put a bracket at -2 and a parentheses at 6. Remember, the bracket is the closed interval notation, and the parentheses is the open interval notation. That's all there is to it. That's it. Madeline?
2A.
2A. How did you start this, Madeline?
I distributed the 2.
Too much chatter unless it's about math. You distributed the 2, so you raised everything to the second power?
Yeah.
So that would be 16 x to the negative fourth over 144, that's 12 squared, x to the 10th, y to the negative 6th.
Yeah. Oh, I know it. I squared the 5. Like I did like 5 times 5. But...
This actually reduces to 1/9. This guy is going to come down to the bottom, and when I bring those 4 down there, that's going to make x to the 14th. And this guy is going to go to the top and leave me with y to the 6th. Now, in case you're concerned about how the paper is graded, everything is doubled. There's only 12 points actually on the quiz, but I doubled it, so everything's worth 2. So if it says -1, or let's say it says -1/2, that's actually -1. That's how it's graded. So your number wrong is doubled. Okay, so is your number right. Well, like that. Okay? All right, let's look at quickly the review sheet I gave you and the old quiz I gave you. The review sheet. Okay, I did actually, because you missed a 4, but you got a half. So you actually came out plus a half. Yes, yes, and that's -1/2. Okay, got it? Well, or 2, because I got double. So you missed one.
Can I look it up?
Okay. Take a look at the practice quiz and the review sheet. And let's talk about anything right now that looks like it might cause you trouble tonight. Anna?
Number 1.
Yeah. Okay. Anna has a question about the review sheet number 1. Now, listen, we don't have hardly any time here, so you guys, I want you to use this time productively. So if you want to just start working on something and ignore me, that's fine. I'm just going to stand up here and answer questions. So if you want to hear the question, listen. If you don't want to hear the question, just keep your mouth shut and work. You know what your job is. By Monday, you're going to come in and you're going to have this review sheet done and the practice quiz done. So I'm just going to run through whatever problems are bothering people now. So this is number 1 on the review sheet. You do not have to listen to me if you think you've got this under control. I'm supposed to write this in interval notation. Katie, you might want to pay attention here because this was your question. This is about interval notation. So this is actually 2 intervals. So when I write it in interval notation, I'm going to write this interval or this interval. And remember, the U is the union symbol or the OR symbol in mathematics. So this is the interval from -infinity to -2. The -2 is open. Infinity is always open. We talked about that. So this is from -infinity to -2. That's this interval right here. This one is from 4 to 5, and they are both closed, so that would be bracketed. And that's it. Okay, Anna?
So when it asks for the interval notation, it just wants like the parentheses. And
Yep,
it doesn't want
parentheses
the
and brackets.
greater than equal.
That's interval notation. Yes, the parentheses and brackets are interval notation. But what?
Can you do the set notation too?
The set notation for that would be all of the x's just less than -2. Or between 4 and 5. So that's the way we would write that.
So wait,
What's the and symbol?
The and symbol is this. This means and.
But wait, why is that?
Why is it or?
Yeah, why is that one?
Wait, do you have to put
Because
a symbol in it?
if you think of this as an answer to a question, like you solved an equation and these are where the answers are, the answers are either numbers that are less than -2 or, whoops, hi, chimney, or they're between 4 and
Okay, that
5.
makes sense.
You can't be, Harry, you can't be here and here at the same time. You're either here or you are here.
Okay.
That's it.
I'm on number 2. It's like,
Okay, am I done with this one?
yeah.
but wait, actually, I have another question about that one. Do you have to write that bottom thing in the answer?
Here?
Yeah.
No, somebody asked for that.
Oh, okay.
This is the answer to the
Okay.
question. That's the answer to the question. Okay, Elaine?
On number 2, there's like a y to the -3rd, and then it goes to the third. So I don't know.
What do you do with exponents when you have your power raised to a power?
You add it.
Just think about it for a minute. Let's do it with the positive exponent. That is x squared to the 3rd power. So that would be x squared times x squared times x squared, right? That's what this would mean. So we multiply them.
Okay.
So we're going to have 2 to the 3rd, which is 8, x to the 3rd, and y to the -9, over 64, x to the 6th. Now, you don't have to start the problem that way, but that's how you wanted to start, so that's why I did this. Okay, now we'll reduce. It's going to be 8, x to the 3rd over x to the 6th. And y to the -9th is going to come to the bottom. So nothing's on top except for 1. All right.
So you don't take that negative.
Who else found something? Lane?
On the
Practice quiz?
for
All right, so we're looking at the practice quiz.
Y to the -4 and like parentheses of 3. Not even that.
-9.
And we're looking, you said 4A? 4A?
There's no 4.
4A is the commutative property of addition. Because what changed there is the order of the commutatives. distributive? No, distributive works both ways. Distributive works both ways. Anytime you are identifying a property, kids, except for distributive,
4 to 6 weeks.
if you're talking about commutative, associative, inverse, or identity, you have to tie it to an operation. So if you say commutative, you're going to get partial credit, but if you want full credit, you have to say commutative of addition or multiplication. There is, some of you did that, but you used subtraction and division. There are no commutative properties or associative properties or identity properties. There's no properties for division or subtraction. The inverse is multiplicative or additive. Now, you use, when you do the multiplicative inverse, you kind of do division, but it's not a property of division. All right, has anyone else found anything on either the practice quiz or the review sheet?
Probably like a really simple question, but like
Where are you looking?
on the practice quiz.
Okay.
For number 1, when it says find AB, what is this kind of distance?
Yep. Remember the notation AB means the distance from A to B, or the length of segment AB.
I don't know, because Marnie doesn't have to hurt it.
All right. I'm gonna miss period 4 and 5, so I did the homework answers for them. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand those out to you too. These are the homework answers from last night. So if you wanna just take a look at these, that will help focus our conversation on Monday.
Precal
This is last night, right?
with a bunch of gals.
You're not going to feel
Oh my god, I can feel it. Yeah, you can know. Your thyroid? Yeah, your thyroid.
No, but me, they didn't see that mine were sore. Mine weren't sore. So
You bet you're
I'm not sick anymore.
Everybody's
If you, I actually